Well, think tank the Australia Institute is referring the federal government to the ACCC over what they allege is state-sponsored greenwashing. The announcement comes after a separate Four Corners investigation into the integrity of carbon credits, which revealed widespread logging in an area of PNG rainforest which had been set aside for preservation. We can speak now to Climate and Energy Director at the Australia Institute, Polly Hemming. She's in Canberra this morning. Polly, good morning. So this complaint that you've raised with the ACCC is about the federal government's carbon neutral certification scheme. That's something called Climate Active. What's your complaint?
Well, our complaint is that, as people would have seen in the Four Corners story last night, that a lot of carbon credits that Australian businesses are buying are turning out to be junk. You know, not just, this is not shown in the Four Corners story, but also in other investigations around the world. And the Australian government is certifying Australian businesses who say that they're carbon neutral on the basis of having bought these junk carbon credits. But Climate Active, even though it is promoting these businesses as having gone above and beyond the standard for climate action and that these businesses are climate champions, no one at Climate Active appears to be actually checking whether these businesses are climate champions, and no one at Climate Active is checking the offsets that these businesses are using. And the concern is that these businesses aren't actually climate champions.
OK, are there any specific examples?
I can give you specific examples. There are gas companies that are certified carbon neutral organisations by Climate Active just because they have offset their offices or their operations. Meanwhile, they're telling their shareholders that they're increasing their production and therefore their fossil fuel emissions, and Climate Active is promoting them as progressive climate leaders on the Climate Active website.
What you're talking about here is greenwashing, which is a term that some of our audience may not have heard of. What is that, and how prevalent do you think it is?
Well, the ACCC last year suggested that around 42% of green claims are greenwash. And what greenwashing is that when businesses make some sort of, sustainability claim, they're not actually following through with the sustainability actions. The idea is that they're really talking up their achievements and their targets without changing their business models. And the idea is to give consumers and voters the impression that they're doing something. The Australian government, in promoting these businesses as climate leaders, is actually facilitating this greenwash. And polling by the Australia Institute carried out recently shows that while most of us have heard the term carbon neutral, only 1 in 3 Australians say that they know what it means. So what that means is when the Australian government is promoting claims of carbon neutrality, consumers may not actually know A, what carbon neutrality means, or what those businesses have done to achieve carbon neutrality. So if a business isn't a climate champion, if it's increasing its emissions, but the government's saying it's carbon neutral and it's a progressive climate leader, then that's ultimately misleading consumers and putting businesses who are legitimately reducing their emissions at a competitive disadvantage, and that's a breach of consumer law.
OK, well, we'll see what the ACCC makes of it. You've sent that complaint to them today. They'll need to investigate it and we'll see what comes out of it. Polly Hemming from the Australia Institute, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.